we gotta go. Whatever's making this world, get forgiveness at the store. These politicians war. You won't find no resolution at the bottom of a bottle. In the stars or in the stardom, the only answer to the problem is people. Love is people. That's the enemy of everything that's evil.
Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of Wrestle Talk Show. I'm your host, Joshua Zimmerman, here to bring you the latest and greatest professional wrestling news, bits, rumors, anything and everything wrestling. Let me get the plugs out of the way first, and then we'll get into the news that made my morning. Feel free to visit us on Facebook, facebook.com/CWE Company. We designed this back in 2011, Wrestle Talk Show, for the wrestling fan to be fully interactive in their wrestling. We post questions, we do these videos, we ask you to comment on the videos, bring us topics, etc., etc. On Twitter at CWE Company. We're on LinkedIn, linkedin.com, keyword Joshua Zimmerman, facebook.com/WrestleTalkShow, youtube.com/CWE Company has the bulk of our material, but like we said before, we're on a new channel due to Google not linking itself together between the two. That'll be that. Send your emails, questions, concerns, show topics, show disagreements. We're not always right. We know it. We love it. It's what makes it fun. To Joshua R. Zimmerman at gmail.com. That's JOSHARZIMMERMAN at gmail.com, and they will be answered accordingly. We had asked you, though, to please put in the subject header what it's about. That way we can narrow down by show what emails we want to throw in and what emails can wait until after we get through the news and give shout outs and everything like that. But I can't wait anymore because this hit the news wire and I cannot be happier. TNA, Destination America, has canceled all TNA programming forever. We have won. Destination America cancels all TNA programming. Before it was announced last Friday that Impact Wrestling would be moving to Wednesday nights beginning on June 3rd, 2015, Destination America officials made the decision to cancel the show and all other programming from the Nashville, Tennessee-based company. This is according to Dave Meltzer in this week's issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, so take it with a grain of salt. This guy just likes to hear himself published. Which was published Wednesday night. It was noted to Meltzer that all TNA programming will cease to air on Destination America at the end of the third quarter of the year. So we're not completely out of the woods, but if you miss an Impact or anything, it won't matter because it won't be around by the end of the third quarter. And this is roughly the last week of September is when everything will conclude, when the current television season ends. Key people at the parent company, Discovery Communications, were informed of the decision. Two major reasons were given for the cancellation of TNA shows. While Destination America officials considered the ratings for Impact Wrestling to be good, the numbers were not good enough to justify the cost of the programming. The other problem was that a number of cable network advertisers specifically did not want to advertise during Impact Wrestling, meaning even advertisers didn't like the quality of programming Dixie Carter tried to shove down our throats. And I want to thank Discovery Communications and anyone in charge of cable for getting this filth off the air, because she had her chance And now finally this is strike 300. And maybe, just maybe, this is all done. Moving right along. The other problem was that a number of the cable networks advertisers specifically did not want to advertise during Impact Wrestling. The decision from Destination America was meant to be kept secret, quite like how Spike executives kept secret publicly last year their decision to drop Impact Wrestling for months after the decision was made and reported. A public acknowledgement is expected to be made when the station reveals its 2015-2016 television season primetime lineup. Following the March 13, 2015 episode of Impact Wrestling, which saw viewership sink to a new low, didn't think that was possible, Destination America officials made the decision to cancel Saturday morning programming under the belief that eliminating the replay would help the Friday night numbers, the only numbers they care about. Although there was a slight increase, all first run programming with the exception of Impact Wrestling airing multiple times on Friday night, was axed due to the cable network's difficulty in selling advertisement time. For the May 8th, 2015 live episode of Impact Wrestling, Destination America purchased an advertisement in the USA Today newspaper to promote the show, believing that additional advertising and it being almost live would lead to an increased rating. Instead, Impact did its second lowest number on Destination America. No one wanted to see this wrestling 3 years ago. They don't want to see it anymore. Great, fantastic, made my morning. The lowest number on the replay, which is primarily watched by viewers in the West Coast, drew a new record low. Days later, Destination America executives made the decision to cancel all TNA wrestling programming. Dixie Carter, president of TNA Wrestling, was made aware of Destination America's decision early last week, although it doesn't appear that most of the talent knew anything, go figure, since word of this had not gotten around. Her knowledge of the cancellation may have played a part in Impact Wrestling moving to Wednesday nights, but that is uncertain. Carter didn't respond to any questions on the subject from Meltzer. Meltzer noted in his report that Destination America's decision has not been finalized, but they're too far ahead to go back. Employees at the station, however, have not been told anything new since the memo was issued to them informing them of the cancellation. Meltzer noted that, quote, "This story is very much ongoing." And I hope it's ongoing right until the end. And I don't normally start from the bottom of the news, but that was your attaboy. That was your good news for the day. I hope it hypes up your day. But for real, we've been begging TNA to either get better or admit defeat, and they've done neither. They started to when Spike dropped them, and they went back to their basic shows. They legitimately started getting better because they knew they were on the chopping block. And would you leave the books alone?
No! I want to read them!
Okay, whatever. Grab the book!
But we need to assume that this is a done deal, even though it's not formally finalized. Like I said. What book?
That
This one?
No, this book.
That one?
Yeah.
Go play. Since, like I said, they've had time to critique themselves, Dixie Carter should have brought in better people, taken herself out of the equation. It's not always about title. And it's not all about power. Sometimes you have to separate yourself, like the president, more or less, to use an analogy. You don't necessarily have to have the smartest president in the world, but you do have to have smart people around him, or else we'd all end up in fallout shelters. Triple H comments on Samoa Joe rumors yesterday. Triple H comments on Samoa Joe rumors. Samoa Joe had been accepting independent bookings throughout the remainder of the summer, despite rumors of him possibly moving to NXT on today's NXT media conference call. Wrestling Inc. asked Triple H about the possibility of signing Joe to a contract. Quote, he was here at the Performance Center a month or two ago. Triple H told us we only spoke for about 5 minutes, and he was mainly exchanging pleasantries. Triple H went on to say that he admires Samoa Joe's work, and that he was impressed with the Performance Center. Regarding the contract status of Samoa Joe, Triple H said he wasn't sure if the two sides would end up doing business or not. Many speculated when Samoa Joe's Ring of Honor dates came to an end recently that he'd be headed to Orlando to start with NXT. Thus far, that hasn't materialized. While not directly in response to the question about Samoa Joe, Triple H later stated that NXT is typically a young man's game. He mentioned that it's a lot easier to instill the WWE's way of running things in someone younger than it was for someone who has been wrestling for most of their lives. And like he always does, this next news segment makes you wonder why. Vince Russo opens his mouth again as if we wanted to hear him talk. Vince Russo talks Kevin Owens on Raw and outright says Vince McMahon has forgotten how to make stars. Vince Russo has a new blog on the Chairshot Reality website where he says Vince McMahon has forgotten how to make stars when discussing WWE NXT champion Kevin Owens confronting United States champion John Cena on Raw. The full blog is available at WrestlingInc.com or Chairshot Reality. Hashtag I hate Vince Russo. But here's part of what Russo wrote. When Sami Zayn first came out of the WWE universe on a national stage, there was no impact. The guy was presented as quote, just another wrestler. I don't care what anybody says. In a year, nobody will remember that debut. Prior to that was the Ascension. That was so laughable, you, quote, almost have to think it was intentional. That was followed with Adrian Neville, and I must say, wow. Mind you, this is all Vince Russo spitting at the mouth about things he doesn't understand. A wrestling contributor with no wrestling background with no relevant wrestling background whatsoever, except failures of wrestling companies. He's the guy you call in when he's the guy Dixie should have called in when they wanted TNA to fail the first time and do it right, because that's all Vince Russo is, a failure at life, at professional things, and especially what we love, professional wrestling. Adrian Neville, and wow, that guy can really get height off the top. You forgot it by the next week. Then, of course, this week, there was Kevin Owens, a guy who looked like he just came from Gleason's gym where he was training to be a wrestler. Owens didn't look like a star. He didn't smell like a star. As a matter of fact, he looked like a guy that could have possibly jumped the guardrail. Which reminds me, I still remember Hillbilly Jim when he was, quote, presented as, quote, somebody the first time we saw him on WWE TV, and Owens dropping Cena. That did nothing but make the 115th time world champ look bad. Save your hate mail. This isn't a Kevin Owens thing, just like it wasn't a Sami Zayn thing, just like it wasn't an Adrian Neville thing, just like it wasn't an Ascension thing. Those guys are strictly employees who get paid to do what the boss says to go out and do. The boss is Vince McMahon. Somewhere along the line, shortly after the Attitude Era, what a coincidence, Vince McMahon forgot how to make stars. He forgot how to create them, how to manufacture them, and how to get them over. When you think about it, who has gotten over to superstardom in the last 15 years? I'm talking household names. In my opinion, that list is quite small. As a matter of fact, I'd put two people on it: Kurt Angle and John Cena. Okay, I'll even allow you to put the beloved Daniel Bryan on there if you wish. But his success had nothing to do with creative other than being given the platform to perform. Alright, I can hear you already. What about Orton? What about Punk? What about them? Great wrestlers, great performers, no doubt. Household names: Austin, Rock, Mick, Taker, Michaels, Hart, Worthy. Come on. Be honest with yourself. Over the last 15 years, we have seen our share of great performers in the WWE, but not 100% bona fide superstars. And those guys more or less did it on their own. What did Vince McMahon give Randy Orton? The moniker the Viper. The moniker the Viper? Maybe. But even that, I doubt. What got CM Punk over to the level he was? Simple. Him sitting on the stage with a microphone, cutting a promo, the only simple, him sitting on the stage with a microphone, cutting a promo, that only he could cut. There was no help there from Vince on that one. Sonny addresses adult movie reports. Triple H holds backstage meeting. WWE stars on prom and more. The latest WWE inbox features superstars and divas picking their prom king and queens, as seen on WrestlingInc.com. Tyler Breeze's entrance at WWE NXT TakeOver Unstoppable last night peaked at 1,275 viewers on the Periscope app. Triple H held a backstage meeting after TakeOver last night and praised the roster for keeping Samoa Joe's debut a secret. and not letting it leak out, according to the PW Insider. WWE Hall of Famer Sonny tweeted the following in response to TMZ's reports. TMZ is not a news outlet. People need to stop giving credit like it is. It's a washed out attorney thinking he's a journalist. She's close to, TMZ stating she's close to signing with Vivid to do adult movies. Tamara Stitch, with her Twitter handle at WWE HOFer Sonny, to clear the air, I'm not doing porn. I have been approached by Vivid Entertainment, but nothing has been negotiated or put on paper. Samoa Joe gives WWE notice. Notice has been given. I give no quarter. I take no prisoners. You ready? Now, details on Samoa Joe's NXT deal. Samoa Joe signed a deal similar to the one Rhino and Brian Kendrick had, as he's still accepting independent bookings. The difference is Kendrick and Rhino don't have merchandise through WWE. World Wrestling Entertainment finally signs former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, former ROH Booker, and NWA World Champion Adam Pearce has been hired by WWE as a full-time coach and producer, according to PW Insider. Pearce will be working out of the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. Pearce has worked as a guest trainer several times in the past, but has reportedly just now signed with the company. He was in attendance for a meeting at the Performance Center today. And that concludes this episode. Like we said, if there's anything you'd like to add, visit facebook.com/WrestleTalkShow, facebook.com/CWE Company, on Twitter @CWE Company, YouTube, just key in Wrestle Talk Show, WTS, Joshua Zimmerman, all the videos, even though they're two different sites, like we were saying. YouTube.com/CWE Company has the better part of 4 years of content, but if you just do a general search on YouTube, you'll find all the content. I'd like to thank my production partner and Senior Vice President Nathan Larner for his contributions to this video, and we apologize for the delay as I've undergone some medical issues. Again, send your hate, email, suggestions, comments, concerns to josharzimmerman@gmail.com. That's JOSHARZIMMERMAN@gmail.com. And until next time, have a good day.